Welcome to Make Path Presents. My name is Ronnie Hayes, and this is the Walking Dead comic Q&A number 7. We're going to jump right into this. If you're new here, we do a ton of Walking Dead comic videos and TV show videos, reviews, discussions, so subscribe. And if you want to participate, rules are in the description. Let's jump right into this, starting off with Mike. We all know Negan is not going to be in his cell forever. Why do you think Negan will get out? How he will and why he will, we're reaching now, because we don't know what's going to happen even after the whispers. But I do want to believe at this point they're going to go into the direction where Rick does build up some trust, even though he might not admit it, or at least he might understand where Negan stands at the moment. Negan knows he can't just get out of his cell and run away. Again, he's not a superhero. Negan needs natural resources, food, shelter, clothing, support. He needs these things. He can't just go out in the wild into a world that's been scavenged to hell with, people wearing skin masks and, controlling herds. He just can't go out into that wild with not even wearing shoes. It's unrealistic. So, I do believe that Rick will get an understanding of where Negan's standing, but something will come up where they might need Negan for something, and that will push him out of the cell. And I don't believe it's something where it's going to be he's free at first. I think it's going to be where the understanding is we're going to use him for something. That snowballs, and it doesn't. I don't know how to explain this without going into specifics. Specifics will box me into a corner, but I'm just saying they'll plan something for Negan, or at least I think right now, and that will snowball into something bigger, and there's just no time to get him back in a cage, because now, we gotta fight, we gotta do this, or it's all gonna come crumbling down. I gotta see issue 150, but that's where I stand right now. Macy J. If you think communities can all establish standing armies, do you think they'll ever get to the point where they have officially survived the apocalypse, meaning the communities have grown past the point where there's really nothing that can challenge their safety or survival anymore? Would that be too anticlimactic for an ending? No, that is not at all what I meant by standing armies. I think that there's no way in hell each community can have a standing army. I was referring to all the communities together, volunteering a couple people from, or not a couple, but a few people from each community, and building an army, with that. Now, it would be spread apart, because again, they would be at each communities, but once they come together, that is the full force of their army, together. But separate, because they would have to be protecting and training within their own communities unless they come together. That's how I view it. A few people, 15, 20 people in this community, or in this, volunteer in that, because we still need people to run everyday operations, you know what I mean? And crops and food and bread and building and lumber and construction and running and supplies and farming. We need people for everything, so they can't utilize everybody for this army. Now, with that said, yes, there's always threats, because it just takes a big herd. That's it. A lot of people think, oh yeah, well, you got an army, it takes some walkers, and the army's going to win. That's just not the case, because it's easy for the walkers to just outflank a guy if you get backed up into a rough spot, especially if you're fighting living as well. What I mean by that is if you take a little army, go into a little village, you're scavenging stuff. If there's a massive herd of walkers, chances are you're not going to stand and fight. You're just going to retreat. Now, if you retreat and they start going back to where you live, now you got to do what they do and get the herd to go into a new direction, and that's even dangerous at times. Then you have ammunition. Is it worth it to fight them, or is it worth it to just steer them away? So no, I do not believe that that would be the case, but also keep in mind with the army now, and if they expand, chances are they will be meeting other big communities, creating other conflicts and storylines. So no, I think it's a lot more complicated than Rick saying we need a standing army, and then all of a sudden they have this standing army and everything's, well protected. It's a long road to get to the point where they will be comfortable enough with the standing army to fight off, all the walkers in the area. Off the top of my head, that's what I think. That one movie fan, you said in your last Q&A that there would be no reason for Rick to go back to Woodbury. What if after the Whispers, Rick begins to send people going in different directions? Listen, that kind of sounds like now we're forcing it. Now we're like, okay, let's just stretch and think about whatever reason because we want to get Rick, at Woodbury. What happens there is, and writers do it a lot too, certain writers, what they'll do is they'll get fixated on an idea and they'll force it creatively. And then it just causes plot holes, Here's the thing. The main issue with going back to Woodbury is how far away it is. It is, 650-ish miles? Let's say 600 for rough measure. And that's for real. It's like 600 miles away from where they're at. Now, they already been in that direction. They already know what's up that way. And it's so far away. Chances are they will go into unknown area in a perimeter of, let's say, 100 miles, in a whole perimeter, in a circular, and then maybe 200 miles out. And they're going all around in these directions. I just don't see any reason whatsoever why they would go 600 miles out all the way back to Woodbury. You know what I mean? Unless creatively we force them to. Mark Gomans. Do you think the bloody cover of issue 150 could be showing the aftermath of Rick finally killing Negan after Dwight drops by and hands him Lucille? Again, no, I don't see that pushing the story forward in any way or making any sense, seeing what has built up so far. It just doesn't make sense. I don't see why Rick would do that at all. That's a tasty burger. Why do you not like Abraham's comic death? You thought it was creative and badass that he got shot in the eye. Plus, he told Eugene to be with Rosita, and I think his arc was complete. That's the problem. I don't. I strongly disagree his arc was complete. I strongly disagree. And guess what? I think the proof would be on my side. No, not to be like, you know what I mean. Because Kirkman already had it planned out. He had some shit planned out for Abraham. If you go and listen to Kirkman talk, and that's why he's changing it for the show, he had a whole storyline planned out for Abraham and All Out War. And here's my thing is, I'm all ready for him to die in All Out War, even if he outlived his comic book death in the comic books. It just seems fitting that a soldier would die in the war. Now, with Kirkman coming out saying, I had all this story planned for him, and suddenly I was like, no, someone has to die, boom, this will be shocking. It feels like that's what happened, because it was like, okay, we got some major awesome shit during No Way Out. That was the moment when Abraham saw Rick and Michonne fighting and he knew they were going to die if they did not get help. And, without even hesitating, he went out there and started fighting. That was the moment I fell in love with Abraham, and I was so excited to see how his story was going to get developed from that point on. And it was like, okay, boom, we get a little bit of Abraham. Oh, he's dead. And it's like, really? So, yeah, I strongly disagree. I felt there was a lot more left to do for Abraham's story, and I just think it was a shitty way to take that character out, and I'm really glad they're fixing it on the TV show. I don't know, that's just how I feel. Like I said, it's not about the sudden death, the death itself, even though I think that death is... I just think that death is more suited for a minor character. In a way, it just kind of, in my opinion, it makes Abraham feel like he got the respect of a minor character with that death. But it's not just a death, like I said. It's the fact that his story felt like it was incomplete, and it felt like it was going somewhere, and it was just dropped. And I know the argument's going to be like, well, that's real life, whoop-de-whoop. And yeah, that is true, but in the same strength, you can't use that as an excuse all the time, because writers are crafting a story here that is interesting and that we want to read. If they made everything realistic all the time, it probably wouldn't last that long. Alright, anyhow. Cameron Robitail. I already screwed that name up. Do you think any character will get a flashback, Alpha and Lydia, at the start of the outbreak? That would be great to see. You know what? Probably not. I know The Walking Dead has done a couple flashbacks, mostly with the dream sequence. However, it's not it's not in their style to do that. What is in their style is to utilize that and put it in a different medium, like a video game, like a mobile game, or like a novel. I think we will get some backstory, possibly, it's possible, on Alpha and the Whispers, but it will be in like a video game, not in the comic book flashback. Matt Jobling, does Magna remind you of Rick, and do you think she is important? Right now, I don't think she's important. I think she's going to become important. And yeah, she did remind me of Rick when she said the same thing he said when they first got there. A little bit of her attitude reminded me of Rick, but then they kind of put her on the back burner. And I don't know, that it was like, but I'm patient still. I understand there's stuff coming for Magna, but I really want to see something important, because I think it would benefit the story having Magna come to the front more, you know, with some kind of major involvement in the story. I think that would just be more beneficial because of the way she ushered in the new beginning, because we came into the new beginning with Magna. If you think about it, we came into the world of The Walking Dead originally with Rick Grimes. We followed Rick all the way to All Out War. And then all of a sudden, there's a time skip. We know that Rick's days are numbered, even though I feel like it'll be a little while yet before he dies. But all of a sudden, after the time skip, we don't pick up with Rick Grimes and them. We actually pick up with Magna, and we kind of follow her like we followed Rick into this new world of The Walking Dead. We follow Magna into the new beginning of them living in an established community, a thriving community pretty much, in the world of The Walking Dead. So I think giving Magna a more important story, it feels right. That's it, we're done. Subscribe now.